Good afternoon, everybody. Wishing you all a very, very happy Friday and a great weekend going forward. This is Lalitha Ramamoorthy from Nurture the Artist, and we have an absolutely intriguing and most needed, topic in discussion today about immunity health being almost a lifestyle change. And the need of this is the need of the hour. And we will be talking much more in depth about how we can enhance our immunity and how we can increase our immune health with different age as we with wellness and well-being. So looking forward to active discussions, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer it here or later at with the discussion. And today's health topic, like I said again, with Proactive You series, is immunity health, your lifestyle. So, folks, as you may have seen, this is a fantastic series that has been very intriguing and very interesting for me. And I get very inspired to share the information with you because as I provide the information or the knowledge base to you about proactive you, I learned so much, and it's absolutely motivating and inspiring. The more and more I read, the more and more I understand about various topics of health. And it's an ocean out there. So, why proactive you? The whole idea is that I see that we all have an artist in us, and that's why I call the presentation from coming out from Nurture the Artist. Being a health coach and a performing artist myself, I have seen that it is of absolute importance to nurture the passions, the little arts that you have in you, whether it be the art of talking, whether it be art of presentation, whether it be the art of technology. There could be so many different gamuts of features that you can explore into artistry. And so, Nurture the Artist is all about you, your wellness, your well-being, and how you can be proactive with your wellness and well-being. And today's topic of discussion, I feel, is probably one of the most important topics of discussion, which talks about immunity and being dealt as a lifestyle in itself. Today's need of the hour is that we have a strong immune system. Yes, we do have, the healthcare system that would protect you with the vaccinations and all the other things that can enable you to increase your immunity. But your innate immunity is absolutely critical here, and we'll be talking more in detail about how you can do so. So, just some simple terminologies that we can elaborate on. This is probably information that you already know, available on Wikipedia, of course. But what is immunity? I mean, what do you call about, what does this term mean? In biology, immunity is the capability of multicellular organisms to resist any microbes or microorganisms. Or it can also be defined as a complex biological system endowed with the capacity to recognize and to tolerate whatever belongs to the self. So anything that's innate, anything that's natural, that's organic, it would recognize it, and it would also keep it and protect it, while it would also recognize and reject any of the foreign, that is non-self, bodies to provide the immunity. And there is basically two ways you can categorize immunity. One is the innate immunity, and one is the adaptive immunity. Now, when you are talking about the the innate immunity is what you're born with, what you are, what you're, mother will also provide you in certain ways through the umbilical cord and while you are in the womb. And then you have the adaptive immunity, which is actually something that you would acquire over a period of time with different things that you are exposed to. Also, further, there is an active and a passive way of how the immunity can be subjected in our body. And for this, a very good way to explain this is this simple diagram, which talks about immunity in two phases. Like I said, the adaptive immunity and the innate immunity. And then further, when you look at the adaptive immunity, which is what you acquire over a period of time in your entire lifetime, this can be categorized into a natural way, where most of what you get is from the maternal, from the sharing the same blood as, or the cord blood that you would share from your mother, and she provides you all the antibodies. And then, of course, the active uh, immunity that you would develop by coming across various infections, or by coming across various foreign bodies, and that your body would develop an adaptation to that to build immunity. And then, of course, you have the artificial immunity, which is a typical example of that is, again, the passive and the active, where the passive could be antibodies, or transferred to you from the mother's womb, which would be temporary again, or other antibodies that comes into your body by transfer of various food products. Or it could be the active, which is the immunization, which is a typical example of what you're getting with your vaccine for the COVID. So, having said that, immunity is almost like a whole system in itself that needs to be at all time paid attention to be proactive, to be healthy, and to maintain wellness and to sustain that wellness at all given times. Now, how are the ways that you could actually do this? Just to give you an idea of how your body controls the immunity, there are specific parts of your body that actually govern or actually support the different immune system in your body. The first one being your white blood cells, the WBCs. And the white blood cells control, or they attack all foreign particles, and they identify all the foreign particles that enter your body. And if they see that there is some threat, or they see that the chemicals that they produce are any threat to your body, they work as the warriors to defeat or to remove them or eliminate these particles from your body. And those could be in the range of microbes, they could be bacteria, there could be fungi, there could be viruses, and so many different things that can attack your body or that can be foreign to your body. The next important thing is the antibodies. The antibodies are also produced in your system, and this is a reaction or a natural defense. It's a first defense that would happen when it identifies that something foreign to your body. And this could be as simple as a foreign chemical, or it could be something that's considered to be poisonous to your body. And that's why people develop antibodies in different ways, because each individual will also perceive, or each body will also perceive threats different ways depending on their immune system. And then the third important thing is the complemental system. With the complemental system, you have it's basically it's something, as the name suggests, it complements the antibodies, or it supports the antibodies to do their job of preventing any of those foreign particles to enter into your body. And the lymphatic system, this is the fluid system which keeps your body well equipped with all the different immune particles, for example, lymphocytes, the WBCs, and most of your RBCs. And finally, you also have your spleen. And this is the part where you would actually produce a lot of your lymphocytes. And it's a very protective part of your immune system, which also enables the production of the WBCs. And lastly, the bone marrow. So all of these put together embodies your immune system in a human body. As far as the other system, and finally the thymus glands, the thymus glands is also a place where you can identify, if there is the platelet counts goes high, or if there is a sudden increase in your WBC count, or there is a sudden decrease in the red blood cells counts, which are all part of the immune system. These are the main systems in your body that you would actually have a checkpoint on. I don't want to go too much into the details of the science of this, because my intention of giving this background is just to make you understand what are the different bodies that govern your immune system. So as far as increasing your immunity or increasing the barrier for your immunity, besides those immune those main things that I spoke about that govern your immune system, we also have your skin. And we spoke about this in the previous sessions, if you've been following up on the Proactive You series, where we spoke about one of the largest organs in our body, which is the skin. It is a waterproof barrier that secretes oils and which also has the bacterial killing properties. So anything on the surface area or even beneath in the different areas, it takes many different layers before you actually get into the portal circulation. So the skin is your first defense that protects you, or that increases, or that helps with your immunity. The second organ of importance with immunity is your lungs. The lungs have something called the sticky mucus, which is in your lungs, which is called the phlegm, and it traps any foreign particles. So anything that's considered to be a danger to your respiratory tract, or anything that's considered to be poisonous for your circulation, the phlegm would actually entrap this, and that's why the lung is another important organ for your immune system. And also the hair like villi, or the cilia is what it's called, that also has the mucus, and it helps you to kind of eliminate these foreign particles, any dust particles that you inhale, any foreign particles that you may also take in. The coughing is actually a natural defense mechanism that the lung has also provided to keep your immunity intact. And finally, your digestive tract. I can't emphasize enough on how important it is to maintain this immune system, or this immune barrier in your body, because 80%, and we'll be talking about it later, because 80% of your immune system is controlled by your digestive tract or your gut health. The mucosal lining, or the fluid lining that's maintained in the gut digestive tract, also it contains a lot of antibodies, which works continuously to fight against all foreign particles that comes in through digestion. So the food that you ingest, all of that exchange happens during that between the digestive tract. So anything that can go past that digestive tract is definitely a threat to your body. So that's another line of defense for immunity. And lastly, you've got your body fluids, you've got your saliva, you've got your tears, and the constant flushing out of your urinary tract and your bowels, which are another important and a very vital way of how you eliminate a lot of the foreign particles, be it bacteria, be it dead cells, be it poisonous chemicals that you may have ingested. There is a lot of cleansing and a lot of detox already happening to maintain that immune system intact. And when you surpass all of this is when you are in danger in terms of being attacked by a bacteria, or by a virus, or any of the other things that's foreign to your body. So having said that, um, in terms of bringing this immune health as a lifestyle change, there is not just one particular factor, even though science shows very active research about how nutrition enables your immunity. There is so much in today's R&D that proves very effectively that your immune health or your gut health is predominantly governed by what you put into your system. So you are what you eat, as I always say. So the food that you ingest, the nutrients that come out of that food are a big substrate, or the biggest substrate to enable a good immune health for you. And secondly, with exercise, I mean, what does exercise do to your immune health? Obviously, the most basic thing that you can get here is, with more exercise, the more oxygen is provided to your body. The more oxygen provided to your body, the more it increases the circulation in your blood. The better the circulation, there is more absorption of nutrients. And so it's going on like a domino effect. So yeah, the bottom line is that if you are exercising regularly and providing enough oxygen to all of these cells, there is a lot of good impact, and there is a lot of feel good hormones that are produced that also enable to increase your immunity. And finally, of course, with environment, we are all very aware that in today's environment, keeping the sanity, keeping our environment clean, keeping washing our hands, keeping our environment clean in terms of the surroundings is absolutely critical in terms of maintaining our immunity, which is to a great extent an external factor, but this can be done with a good with a good practice that you follow for a lifestyle. And not to forget the sleep criteria, which is a good 6 to 8 hours of sleep. And this has been shown with multiple studies, with active involvement in terms of showing that when you do not get enough sleep, your immune system is at stake. So people who are burnt out, people who are not getting sufficient rest to their body, you are going to put your body at a little bit of a vulnerable stage where you could be more susceptible to more being affected by all kinds of infections. So the sleep and the circadian cycle is of absolute importance and of vital importance, and they have shown with studies that as you are growing older, the importance of sleep is even more important. So the 6 to 8 hours of sleep is absolutely critical for you to rest your body and to be able to bring it back to the homeostasis and to be able to allow it to do its complete functions in with due diligence. So as far as the next important thing that I wanted to discuss here was the biological aging versus chronological aging. It is shown with research that from the time that you're born to the time that you're probably 20 years old, and you're probably 40 years old and 50, your immunity is definitely going to take a beating with all of the exposure that you come across. It could be the environmental exposure, the psychological exposure, the physical exposure, all of what you put into your body in different ways. But having said that, with biological aging, and if the clock ticking faster than your chronological age, which is what's happening typically today, especially with increased emotional stress, with increased exposure to free radicals, with increased stress that we cause to your body that damages a lot of our cells, this can be of a major problem in terms of your immune health. So if you are maintaining, if you help or delay that biological aging, not the chronological ages. We don't definitely have a control over the age that we pass by each year, but we can certainly reverse to a great extent the biological aging, where you can increase your immunity with reversing or with reducing the aging that happens in your body. And so that brings us to a very important discussion of my expertise, being a dietitian, being a health coach. I truly believe that it's you are what you eat, and what you put into your system is absolutely of critical importance. And with that being said, when you are putting the macronutrients, which is the protein, fat, and the carbohydrates, or the micronutrients, they're both of equal importance. When we're talking about the macronutrients, protein is one of the most important critical things in terms of your immunity. And why? Because majority of the antibodies that you make in your body, majority of the immune system that is enabled in your body is made by protein. And when I'm talking about protein, there are different types of protein. There is the complete protein and the incomplete proteins. The complete proteins are the foods that has got all the essential amino acids. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but your complete proteins are the ones which has got the animal proteins or the dairy, which has got more of the amino acids that is required by your body. And then there's the incomplete proteins. But being a vegetarian, if you've got the legumes, the pulses, you can still get all of your protein, or the nuts and the seeds. You can still get your protein, and you will have to have the complementing of one protein with the other, but where you get all of your essential amino acids too. So it is important, very important, to drive the message home that protein is of utmost critical, vital importance in terms of your immunity. Of course, not to forget the fats. The fats are very high, in terms of your calorie requirements, or they're definitely more, I would say, resourceful in terms of providing the calories, the right amount of calories, and for growth and for the repair of the tissues, which is also important in your immunity. The fats are equally important. And lastly, the carbohydrates. We are talking about a carboholic world today, where we are succumbed to a lot of simple sugars, which actually appeals to our palates. But we're talking about carbohydrates that are complex carbohydrates, which has got more fiber in it, which is more helpful in maintaining your gut health. And if you go back to some of the series that I spoke about, where I spoke about gut health, the complex carbohydrates are one of the most critical things that I did mention, which enables better digestion, better absorption, and all of the other factors that goes along with it. So I do like to dwell a little bit more about the food aspects here, just because that's my field of expertise. And coming back to the micronutrient deficiencies that actually compromises your immunity. We've had people tell us all about the wonders of taking in the zinc and the selenium and all of the other micronutrients. Today, if you look at the soil, the depletion of the minerals and the vitamins in the soil, it is very difficult for us to be able to get a completely balanced, nutritious meal in terms of our requirements for the micronutrients. So if you need to enable a good immune system, some of these mentioned that I've mentioned here, especially zinc, selenium, iron, copper, folic acid, vitamin A, D, B6, C, and E. They all alter your immune responses significantly. And where do you get these from? Some of the foods that I've mentioned here are your citrus fruits, your peppers. I'm talking about the green peppers and the red peppers. The more color you add to your food, folks, the better you're going to get the enrichment on your nutrients. So we may not be able to get all of those nutrients in one meal, which definitely, drives the message home that you have to have, at least three meals or three small meals, which can enable you to get a good array of colors in your food. And then, of course, you do have your garlic and your ginger. Turmeric is actually one of the most active ingredients that's talked about today for immune health. And of course, the spinach for the folates. And you've got your pumpkin seeds. You've got the seeds which provide a lot of the antioxidants. Green tea, another antioxidant provider. Papaya, kiwi, shellfish, and protein-rich foods. We've spoken about this before also. And so finally, the last thing that I would like to talk about is the herbs and the supplements. And here I would like to bring in a very newly coined term, which is probably not very familiar with, most people. It's called the adaptogens. So what are adaptogens? Adaptogens are, um, natural chemicals, or that food that they are ingredients in the foods that provides the homeostasis, or that provides the balance in your stress management, and it alleviates a lot of the stress that's happening in your body, whether it's the flight or the fight. So lot of the adaptogens that you get from your food are also provided as herbs or supplements, which indirectly enable your immune system to stay intact and to be more, stronger. What are some of the adaptogen foods that you can get from your diet? Holy basil, ginseng. Ashwagandha is actually a Ayurvedic root that's very popular these days in capsule forms. And maca is actually a powdered form, which you can use in smoothies. You can use it in soups. And the reishi mushrooms. Pearl is another powder that you can use, and mesquite powder, the acai berry, and the goji berry. Now, folks, it's important to remember that these are all herbs and supplements which needs to be taken in the right proportion, and there is a whole different discussion that we could have on a separate agenda, where we could talk just about herbs and supplements and the interactions of how they could have other implications. So when you are taking any of these products, you definitely want to consult with a registered dietitian, or a person who has got the qualification to recommend some of these to you in the right proportion, because they do have interactions with other foods and other ingredients in that you would consume through food or pharmaceuticals. So that being said, all I could say is that your immune system is a very complex system, and that it is governed by a lot of different things, but food is definitely an integral part of it, and that's why I had to emphasize a lot about it. And the concluding message that I have for you here is about your gut's brawn and its brain. So, what does that mean? Your first brain is, of course, your brain where you think through, but your second brain is your gut. And like I was telling you earlier, folks, 80% of your immune system is governed by your gut health. The more you enable your gut, the more you increase the good bacteria and the microbiomes, which is a great topic of discussion, which is there is so much R&D happening today with the microbiome research. They find out that people who have got more diversity in their gut health are the people who have higher immunity and better health, and they also are able to live for longer. And all of your blue zone people, the people who are the centenarians, are the ones who are talking about gut health predominantly. So all I have to say is that if you want to maintain a good immune system, and you want to fight all that viruses, and fight all the bacteria as much as you can, to maintain health, good health, and to at least build your foundation for wellness and well-being, your immunity is definitely something that you need to pay attention to, and that you need to maintain it more like a lifestyle, rather than just concentrating on it as a separate factor when you're falling sick. So be more proactive, get on with it on a daily basis, where you're contributing towards everything that enables good immune health. So once again, it's always a pleasure to share information, share knowledge, and it inspires me equally to give you this information, because I learn a lot as I go along. And I would like for you to please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also stay tuned for my series that I'll be doing every Friday for you. This is Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And people who aren't able to watch it, if you are in a different time zone, you can always go to my Facebook page, Nurture the Artist, or you could go down to my YouTube page, Nurture the Artist. I would love your feedback. I would love your, reviews, and your feedback and your suggestions is definitely an inspiration for me to add more topics in future. So looking forward to you to having you for the next session. We've got something very exciting for the next week also. Stay tuned for Proactive You with Nurture the Artist. This is your health coach and registered dietitian, Lalitha Ramamoorthy. Thank you very much and have a wonderful weekend ahead.